Okay, welcome back. So we're going to delve into a very important discussion because there's going to be a colloquium held by the Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana, Clogsag, to explain the political neutrality in the civil and local service government, because there has been some confusion over that. And I'm going to be speaking to Mr. Mohammed Salifu Issa, he's a member of Clogsag, and also Mr. Isaac Bampo Addo, he's the Executive Secretary for Clogsag. Good morning, gentlemen. So let's start off with heading to Supreme Court for interpretation. Where did this all come from? Because in 2015, there was an issue where it wasn't really clear enough as to where Clogsag stood and where the government also stood. So can you bridge the gap for us?
First of all, I must state that Clogsag, that is Civil and Local Government Staff Association, is a mouthpiece of workers in the civil and local government services. It's a registered trade union. Well, in 2015, just before the district level elections, the then head of local government service issued an instruction based on a code of conduct of the service that no member of the local government service should participate in the district level elections. We at Clogsag thought that it was wrong because the district level elections was non-partisan. Right. Therefore, we urge all our members who were interested to participate in that election, and they did. If anybody tried to intimidate them, we were going to strongly come at a person. Right. But after that, we then decided to go and seek interpretation at the Supreme Court. Number one, the political parties at the Code of Conduct of both the civil and local government service gave some limitations to members on their participation, partisan activities, which we felt was wrong because the provisions of the Constitution were only limited not to participate as a member of Parliament. Right. So we went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court gave its ruling that, well, although it's non-partisan, we're not allowed to be members of the district assemblies. It also gave its ruling that no civil or local government staff should owe its appointment to partisan activities, which means the government also cannot appoint somebody into the institutions based on political activities. Right. Yeah.
But I mean, let me come to you, Mohammed, because government appointing people into the system had been something that transcended even 2015. So at what point did you as a group think that this should stop because it was interfering with your activities?
All right, thank you so very much. Good morning to your cherished viewers. This whole issue of government's appointment is by constitutional requirement. The Constitution allows government to appoint some key officers in the civil and local government services. However, the government or the president specifically is not allowed to do this in a vacuum. So the president is supposed, if you look at even the Constitution, and if you permit me, I will just read a portion of it. It is very clear, very, very clear. Let me just read this. Article 195 clearly states, subject to the provision of this Constitution, the power to appoint persons to hold or act in office in the public services shall vest in the president, acting in accordance with the advice of the governing council of the service concerned, given in consultation with the Public Service Commission. So yes, the president has the power, but the president's power is subject to what?
Consultation.
The accordance with the council. For instance, in accordance with the governing council. For instance, we have the civil service, we have the council, civil service council. The local government service also has a council. So the government cannot appoint without prior approval of this. And even over there also, if you go to Act 197, the Public Service Commission may, subject to the approval of the President, make regulations by constitutional instrument for the effective and efficient performance of its functions under this constitution or any other law. So that is very clear. There should be a constitutional instrument. That we don't have. And for that reason, you can see very clearly where situations where presidents in presidents, or I should say governments in government have tried to take advantage of this appointing opportunity and infiltrate where they are not supposed to be. And that is quite worrying. And this is where we have to make it very clear to the people that, look, we need to have a change. Yeah.
And to add to what Mohammed said, currently we have a situation where even ministers are appointing their own chief directors, which is wrong. It's against the neutrality principle. And as a mouthpiece of our members, we are not going to allow it. If you say we cannot go into partisan activities, then we're also not going to allow you to come into our lane. That's it. We're going to make sure that before you get appointed, the procedures must be followed.
Right. So help us understand what political neutrality, anonymity, and permanence as far as your work is concerned.
All right. Thank you so very much. Let me, before I answer the question, let me throw a bit more light on what the public service is and the civil service. In fact, people have misconstrued the two. We have what we call a wider public service. The public service is made up of various services. For instance, we have the immigration service, the police service, the judicial service, the local government service, the civil service. Now, the issue at hand here, we have several other services. The issue at hand here is focused on two services, the civil service and the local government service. Indeed, until recently, the two services were one. But decentralization processes over the past 20 years has brought about the need for the local government service to be seeded from the civil service. Indeed, the local government service is now made up of the regional coordinating councils, the metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies. They used to be part of the whole civil service arrangement. The civil service is now made up of the ministries and their departments. Yeah. So the issue we are talking about here is focused primarily because the association stands for these two, and that was the issue we took to court. Now you asked about neutrality. To be able to answer, you have to understand what role or the function the civil service and the local government service performs. Now, we are supposed to assist any government in power to formulate policies, implement policies, and monitor the implementation of these policies. These functions are seen to be very strategic. And because you are to support government in, government out, the principle of neutrality affects you. So that is very important. You don't have to be seen to be a part of NPP or NDC or PNC because governments can change. So that principle of neutrality affects you there. Anonymity, your role is to assist the government in power. So the credits and everything, whatever it is the government. So you are supposed to remain anonymous over there. Because you keep on serving other governments, permanence should also be there. And that is why you sacrifice your power to participate in partisan politics. So you have to sacrifice that. And that is very important. So this is where this issue of neutrality and other things come in.
Okay, so finally help us understand the implications of the Supreme Court's rulings on, your workers as well as the role of appointing authorities in this.
Well, the implications, as we said, is that our members should be bold to advise on formulation and implementation of policies. We've dubbed this colloquium humility, not timidity. So without any fear, we're going to advise. When you give the advice, you can take it or leave it. But without any fear, we're going to give the advice.
And so finally, let's talk about the colloquium. Where is it happening? Who's the chairman? Who are the special guest speakers? People invited and all?
All right, so colloquium is coming off tomorrow, 27th at 9 a.m. at the Nitanquao's auditorium at the ministries. Now, a special guest of honor is the Chief of Staff. We've invited her to be the special guest of honor. We hope that our invitation will be fully honored. We also have the Chair of Public Service Commission, Madame Bridget Katreku, who is also going to be the chair for this program. We have very, very wonderful discussants. We have the head of civil service as a discussant. We have the head of local government service as a discussant. We also have a former chief director of Ministry of Communication, who is also coming as a discussant, and also Nana Oye Lita, former Minister, Gender, Children and Social Protection. Other invited guests are our development partners. JICA is coming, European Union is going to be there, Danida is going to be there, and others, a lot. USAID. I mean, we really want them to come, give us the needed support. And push this agenda forward once and for all.
Is it free?
Free.
It's free.
Virtually.
We also have the political parties. We have the NPP, the NDC. We invited the majority leader, the minority leader, members of parliament. We're going to have a nice time.
It would certainly will be a nice time at the colloquium.
Indeed, I think the media is going to play a very critical role here. We want your full support. As we don't want it to be a one-stop shop, where just after tomorrow it ends there. It's going to be something continuous. Let me also say that we're going to use the platform to also launch the Clogsag Neutrality project, which is going to be something that's going to roll out for the next 2 years to get everybody sensitized on this project.
Right, and on that note, I have been speaking to Mr. Mohammed Salifu Isa. He's a member of Clogsag, and Mr. Isaac Bampo Ado. He's the executive secretary of Clogsag. And tomorrow, you want to join them at the colloquium as they interpret and help us understand Supreme Court's ruling on political neutrality in civil and local government service. So